Yes, I believe that we really owe it to the people here, the residents, to give our opinion as to this particular issue, and really what I want to do is to find out from council whether this is something that we should make what I would call a voice decision tonight, whether this is something that we should have a resolution prepared for our next meeting to sort of review and really hone in on what we want to say. What I don't know is whether the township trustees are having a meeting before our next meeting, in which case to wait until the next meeting might be too late. Steve, do you have?
We'll meet on the 17th, right, Shira?
That's correct.
We'll meet on the 18th.
17th at 7 p.m.
So I guess my preference, there are lots of options that we can do, and I think we should consider all of them. But I think the most important thing is to speak out as quickly as we can before there's any kind of action that's taken for which leads us down a road that is inappropriate. For me, I've always been very skeptical of this proposal, and I think we need to slow it down a lot. That does not mean that I'm in favor of it. It just means there's way too much that goes into this decision that, frankly, I'm not aware of. The other thing that I will say is that as a city, we could have our own fire department, we could have our own EMS, we could have our own school system, and we choose not to because we get excellent service from what we have. And so I think that in itself is a basis for being very concerned about what's being considered.
Right. I just took down some notes here. I had a whole big thing written up and then I threw it away earlier today because I've been thinking it over the weekend. I want to start by saying I think you guys are awesome. And I've seen you work. I was present at one of the meetings last evening early on when my wife and I got home. We watched some of the proceedings on Facebook, so thank you to whoever was here was streaming that for us. And I want to say on the record that I do support our Liberty Township Fire and EMS. You guys are the best. I mean, they go above and beyond so many things. Little things like coming with the trucks for the kids. I mean, they make it all that more special. There were a couple of ladies that had stories about their kids. My wife and I had triplets that were preemies. We didn't live here at that time, but I understand the breathing issues that you were talking about. We have one like that. And I understand the fall, and things like that. We went through all that. We didn't have that here, but I want to validate your emotions, because this is an emotional issue. I think, like the school district or redistricting, it's another one of those emotional issues. The trustees were given a report that cites potential cost savings. They're going to examine that. Whether that's valid or not is not for me to decide. My job here as a council member is to listen to our residents and make decisions on what is wanted and what's right. And I have a great relationship. For many of you that know me, I've known Shira over 25 years. I can pick up the phone and talk to her at any time. I have a great relationship with Miss Lenahan as well. In fact, I had coffee with her and discussed. I wanted to know what her impotence is going forward, get more details from her. And so, and I will reach out to Mike as well. I've talked to Mike numerous times, and we've talked about some city township things in the past as well. So I'm in contact with them regularly. So when you ask, what are we doing about it? That's what I'm doing about it. I'm speaking with them. I'm understanding their perspective. My goal is to continue to gather facts and support our residents and to work with the trustees. But ultimately, they're going to be the ones that are responsible for this decision. And I think there's a lot of great ideas, and Tom said it, and this was kind of my comments earlier this morning, is that there's a lot of things out there that are uncertain. They may be valid, they may not be valid. We need to take our time and explore them. And there may be options that are, on the table that, or not on the table that haven't been discussed. We talked about, I've seen comments about the city just taking over the fire department. I don't know that that would be feasible from an economic standpoint. Well, we need to continue to talk, and so those are the things that I will continue to do as a council member in representing you. And I know many of you are township residents, and you're welcome to call me at any time. So, thank you.
Dan. Before we go any further, this is a little irregular to Robert's Rules of Order, but this is a very important issue, and I'm glad that you folks came, and we'll continue, and I apologize for that.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much for making an allowance for us to speak on this issue. I appreciate that very much, Mr. Mayor. I look at this issue in two different ways. I look at this issue both as a council member with constituents who have overwhelmingly told us that they oppose any changes to our fire EMS model that we currently have. So I look at it as an elected official whose constituents have told us overwhelmingly what they believe on this issue. I also look at this issue, as many of the folks out there do, as a family who is a frequent flyer for Liberty Fire EMS. My sister-in-law lives across the street with her parents, my in-laws, and her 13-year-old son. And my sister-in-law several years ago had a massive stroke. And because of the excellent work of Liberty Fire EMS, who have been to our house so many times and done such incredible work, because of that, she, my sister-in-law, can stay in the house across the street from us, stay in the house with her child, keep her family intact as much as she can. And it pains me to think of any changes that could come to that would separate that family, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about danger. We're talking about separating families. We're talking about minutes, crucial minutes and seconds that matter. And when we have such a great system that we have now, I see no reason to change it. As soon as I saw Shira's message online last Monday about the surprise vote at the county commissioners meeting, I was immediately on the phone with Mayor Benahoof. And thank you, John. I know you had about 40 calls that day, so thank you for taking mine for a few moments. And we've been in contact that entire time, and I can assure you that I, since Monday, have done everything possible to look at every alternative we can take as a city to save our Liberty Fire EMS. I am committed to that now, and I will be committed to that ongoing. So I appreciate you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank all of you this evening for being here. I greatly appreciate all the shares, the information that you've provided to us, and obviously how this impacts you as Liberty Township residents, but also as Powell residents. This part's hard. Many years ago, I lost my nephew to an asthma attack. It wasn't obviously due to lack of care from the EMS personnel. It was his health. His situation was pretty bad. Regardless, to hear some of your stories this evening, obviously bring to light all of those memories, shall I say, and concern me greatly. Many of you had a lot of great shares, but tonight I heard a friend ask for assistance. Shira, I hear you. I've been pushing back for a while, obviously, because we have a respectful fine line of how we step over to help one another and what we can do and what we cannot do. This matter does involve all of us as a community, and this matter obviously involves a solution and a resolution to help us build trust and confidence in what we have as our great service provided here by our first responders. We thank you greatly, but none of us want to see a degradation to that. And to that end, I'd ask them in support of what Tom has mentioned previously, be it a resolution and or a special meeting of some form or another, well in advance of our meeting on the 18th, for us to consider a quick matter, a solution to this whole matter. So thank you all this evening for all of your time.
Thank you.
also just like to say I'm just amazed at the turnout tonight. I wish we had this turnout at all of our council meetings. That would be wonderful. But thank you all for coming. Thank you for your comments. I don't know that you all know, I'm the newest member on council, so I'm kind of taking this in. I'm also an attorney. I'm a hearing officer for the state of Ohio, and emotion can be, what do I want to say? I guess what I'm trying to say is I agree with what Tom has said. I think we probably need to step back just a little bit, get some more information, more facts, because what I'm concerned about as an attorney is what can we, as city council, what can we legally do, what can we do that won't put us in a worse position, and I would just like us to have the opportunity to discuss with our legal counsel what we really can do. Please don't take this, as any poo-pooing of what's gone on here tonight, because I am with everything that was said tonight. But just so you know where I'm coming from, we have to be careful as the city and what we do. So, like I said, I would just agree with what Tom said, and I think we need to have a discussion, especially with our legal counsel. And I think that's it. Thank you.
You asked what we can do. I think we should have a voice vote tonight in support of the EMS. The second thing, I think we can also have a written resolution, and I think we should ask the law director to draft that for our next meeting. The third thing you asked about is publicity. I think we can ask Megan Canavan, our communications director, to put something on the website and get it out to Powell residents. I read the report. I agree with Mr. Wibberley and Mr. Simpson in that analysis. That report seemed to be geared towards Delaware County EMS and its problems. So I would probably ask the county to focus on that. I do think a professional task force would be helpful. And that's where I stand on that.